You add to what you know, because experience adds to you.
You can only deliver what you have.
He that composed the weapon is even stronger than you that gave him the weapon.
Our roles in the Navy are the military, the policing, and the diplomat.
You can't afford to allow yourself to be deceived anymore.
For one to thrive and thrive successfully, one needs to have a clear knowledge of the laws and policies around it.
We cannot command the kind of influence we want to command until you have a stake at the table where decisions are made.
You don't wait for a civilization or a new dispensation. You birth a civilization and you bet your dispensation.
Inheritance is very, very powerful. Very, very powerful. There is a specific parcel, a container, a package that God gives to founding fathers of every land and every territory.
The source of wealth is spiritual, the power of God.
I now present to you Professor Etefia Ekanem to lecture us on law, policies, and economic developments. Please, a warm round of applause as he takes the soapbox to deliver the lecture.
There is a link between law and policy. A lot of times people would think that law is policy and policy is law, or that they can be used interchangeably. There are both terms that resonate in any serious discussion that touches on economic development. But let me say this. Things around us revolve around the law. The world was created with the law. Let there be is a command, true or false. It's a command. Let us do this. Let us make man in our own image. These were commands. So as long as the world exists and men are there, we'll always have laws. Policies will always be there. Which means that for one to thrive and thrive successfully in any endeavor he must have undertaken, one needs to know, to have a clear knowledge of the laws and policies around him. Some years back, the moment anybody drives into Calabar, there was this sense of serenity that will hit you. So that even when you were in a public transport and you bought, say, sweet, unwrap it, take the sweet, you'll be wondering what to do with the wrap. In this state, this same city, nobody will tell you not to throw it out. There was that consciousness of that knowledge. There is a law like this, there's a policy like this, and nobody wanted to be used as a scapegoat. Why did that work? That worked because the government gave direction. The laws were there. The policy to implement was also there. And the people were conscious of it. And that resulted in our having, as at that time, one of the cleanest cities in Africa. It was this city, Calabar. When I was employed in the university, I realized that many of those who taught me had remained at one level for several years. They taught me as lecturers 1 and 2. I graduated, went to law school. I was in practice for a while, then came in. They were still lecturers 1 and 2. I started asking, why? What's going on? Is it that since I've gotten in, will I also get stuck? They told me their stories. In listening to them, I realized that there is something known as condition of service. So I asked from my senior colleagues. Incidentally, many of them, I said they taught me, were in the employment of the university for several years. They did not have conditions of service. I went to the registrar. I asked for a copy of the conditions of service. Because actually, it is a condition that when you are employed, you should be given a copy of the conditions of service. I was given. I got home that night, feasted on it, read it cover to cover. By the next morning, I was ready to be a staff of the university. I had made up my mind that although those who taught me got stuck, that my name was not their names. I have read through the rules and I was ready to move. There was a lecturer who was very close to me. She was like a mother. As a student, she would even cook for me. I went to her. I still call her auntie. I told her, I said, Auntie, I have seen a copy of the conditions of service. I realized that lecturers are supposed to be promoted every two years. Sorry, every three years. Auntie, I'm going to do everything to go by that rules. I don't want to have a problem with you tomorrow. I don't want to be your senior. I want you to continue being my senior. Please look for a copy and move on. This morning is her birthday. She has just taken over as the Dean of Faculty of Law, University of Uyo. That discussion I had with her stuck. She looked for the rules, read it. The first thing she did was that to be a lecturer, she needed to have a PhD. She came to Calabar here, had a PhD. She moved. Today she's a professor. After she had been in the system until that for almost 15 years, she didn't move. Many are still there where they were several years ago, looking for somebody to blame. Law and policy. Objectives. We will be considering whether policies and all laws have any bearing on economic development. Whether law or policy is the real albatross to economic development in Nigeria, and whether policies and laws can be used to drive economic development. Going to the general theme of this event, wealth. I do not want to waste our time on wealth. This morning, a professor talked on that. But maybe one or two words. Wealth can be said to be the abundance of valuable assets or physical possession. It is not necessarily the collection of, it's not necessarily money bottled up in the bank, but a collection of assets, wisdom, relationships, and vision. For me, how wealthy a man is not in how much he has in his account. It is the assets, the wisdom, the relationship, the network of relationship, and ability to translate, put these together, and better and improve life. Policy can be said to be a deliberate system of guidelines to guide decisions and achieve rational outcomes. Decisions on how, decisions on when. For instance, we could have a policy here and said, anyone that comes in here should wear a mask. That's a policy, right? Anyone that comes in here should wear a mask. The question is, what of someone who does not wear a mask? We will encourage him to do so. It's a statement of intent, implementable as a procedure or protocol. A lot of times, people even know what to do. But the problem is, how? Someone has something in him. He knows he's good at it. But the problem is, how does he bring it out?